It's time for Recipe of the Day. This seems like as good a time as any to try something new. And so I am going to urge you to grab a fennel bulb next time you're at the grocery store. If you have not had fennel before, you've got to try it. You know that amazing flavor in Italian sausages that you're like, what is that I love so much? It's kind of a little bit licoricey. That's coming from fennel seed, which comes from the same plant as the fennel bulb. And so the fennel bulb itself and its green fronds have a licoricey flavor too. But it's really mild. Like it's licoricey the way that like basil is licoricey, or tarragon is even more licoricey, I think. It's that kind of licorice flavor, that mild herbaceous licorice flavor. Really, really tasty. Such a fun treat. Something new to try and experiment with. So you're going to get your fennel bulb. I am going to link to how to cut it, how to trim it, all of that. When you are trimming it though, no matter what you do, make sure that you save those wispy green fronds. They're kind of like dill, and you can add them to all kinds of things for flavor. Just throw them in your salad, toss them on top of any kind of potatoes, anything like that. Keep them in the fridge. Make sure that you use them though. They're really a treat. And then you're going to get your fennel bulb prepared. If you are using it in a salad, you want to make sure that you're getting the core, the root from the middle out from in there, because it's a little bit tough. So what you're going to do is you're going to trim off the fronds and those top sort of stalks that are there, and trim off the bottom root end. And then you'll see that there's like a core in there that you can just cut out with a paring knife and then slice the rest really thinly, and you can just eat it raw, put it in salads. It's great like that. Now, having said that, that is not anywhere near my favorite way to eat fennel. My absolute favorite way to eat fennel is roasted, and that is what I'm going to urge you to try on this day that we are trying new things. So for that, you're trimming off those fronds and stalks from the top the same way, but you're not going to cut the core out of the middle. Instead, just take that slice of that bottom core end off so that you're removing, it's kind of like a darker brown bit. You don't want that there, but you do want the core in there because it kind of holds all the different layers of the fennel. It's kind of like an onion with those layers. It's going to hold those layers together. And since we're roasting it, we're cooking it, it's going to soften. So when you were going to have it raw in the salad, you didn't want that core in there because it's going to be too tough. Because we're roasting it, each slice is just kind of a tiny bit of that core, and it's going to get softened in the cooking. So we leave it on because then we get those slices with their held together layers. They kind of look like little fans, and they're really, really pretty, and they're going to cook a little bit better, because if they're too small, they're going to kind of like dry out before they start to caramelize and soften properly. And so by keeping them sort of held together as bigger pieces, then we get them cooking just the right amount of time. Okay, now in the recipe that I am linking to for you, and that is on the cookful.com, my second site, on there, it says to arrange those slices once you have them on a foil-lined baking sheet that you've lightly greased, and then to drizzle olive oil on top and kind of brush it on there. That's the way to do it if you don't want to dirty a bowl. But I find that we can get the oil and seasoning more evenly distributed if we use a bowl. So that is my preference. Get out a big bowl, put all your slices in there, put about a tablespoon of olive oil and a good sprinkling of salt and pepper. Give it a good toss, and then arrange them in a single layer on that oiled foil sheet, or you could do it on parchment. Either way is going to be fine. I'm saying to line the baking sheet only because they do sometimes brown onto the sheet and can stick a little bit. So it's really just for cleanup. You could use a silicone mat, of course, as well. Anything that's just going to stop that sticking from happening. Okay, and then that pan is going into a 400-degree Fahrenheit oven for about 20 minutes. You want them fork tender and just starting to brown around the edges. If they're fork tender but not browned, you can put them under the broiler a little bit. What you just don't want is to have them start drying out. I do not like the texture of fennel when it's like too dry. It doesn't get like that sort of crackly, nice caramelization of like a roasted broccoli. I find it's just a little more papery somehow. So I don't like it that way. I really, really love this nice and soft. I have a feeling that there are people out there who would say that I'm doing it wrong and that it should be really brown, but I find this so buttery and meaty and delicious. And you know, sometimes the rules can be there, but we have to cook what we love. And this is what I love. This is how I love doing it. And I really hope that I've convinced you to grab a fennel bulb from the produce department of your grocery store and give this a try. I will put the link to this recipe in the show notes for this podcast episode, or you can head to cookthestory.com/ROTD and get it there. Everything there is arranged by date, so it's helpful to know that today is October 17th of 2024. And I just want to say, if you aren't already, make sure that you are following me on social media. I know I have not always been great at social media. I haven't always loved it. It's not something that resonated with me. But in the last year, I have really gotten into it. I'm doing it all myself. I do the videos myself. I do the voiceovers. All of it is me, and it is becoming really fun as I get better at it and get more used to it. So if you love my recipes, you love my tips, you love the stuff that I'm doing, make sure to find me wherever you are. I am probably there. My main places are Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and I am Cook the Story in all three of those. Please go and find me and share those things. If you see a recipe of mine that you love on social media, share it, hit that share button and spread the word. I appreciate it so much. I'm Christine Pittman from cookthestory.com, thecookful.com, the all new chicken cookbook, and from this podcast, Recipe of the Day. I hope you have a great day. Let's get cooking.